All right, good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for coming to the Data Champions 2025 inauguration ceremony. And my name is Jiang. I'm the research data librarian here at CHK Library. Welcome to you all. And welcome to those online as well. So this will be a hybrid session. We're broadcasting on Zoom. We're excited to have you join us, whether in person or online. The Data Champions 2025 program marks the second iteration of the same initiative, which started last year. So the Data Champions program brings together a network of dedicated student and staff ambassadors from across our campus to build up a network to advocate for good data management practices within their faculties and provide support to their fellow students and colleagues. These data champions receive training and resources from the library to help them with their roles, and they participate in regular meetings and events to share the experiences and learn from one another. Today's inauguration ceremony celebrates the appointment and institution of the second cohort of data champions. We have returning data champions from last year who will be sharing with us their experience, and we also have a fabulous panel discussion consists of esteemed faculty members to talk to us about research data management related topics. Thank you so much. So the ceremony is part of the Data Excellence Week 2025, an event we are hosting to promote research data management skills and best practices across campus here at CHK. Now, I would like to invite Professor Liwen Jiang, the chair of the Committee on Research Data Management, to deliver the welcoming speech. Thank you very much, Professor Jiang.
All right, good morning, everyone. So my name is Liwen Jiang from the School of Life Sciences, Faculty of Science. Okay, so Chi prepare a two-page opening remark for me. I said no, I won't read 2 pages. Okay, so first of all, on behalf of the Committee on Research Data Management, I will welcome you all for this Data Champion 2025 inauguration ceremony. All right. So our committee was established, I think, about 5 years ago. Okay, we member coming from each faculty, from ORKTF, also research committee, as well as, of course, the library. Okay, so since then we have been working really hard to provide the support and promote the development of the RDM at CHK. For example, we have trained the postgrad student. Also, they also have organized a workshop for training or promote this RDM at CHK, right? So as mentioned, I think today's ceremony is part of the Data Excellence Week, okay? So I'm very pleased to see, I think this year we have recruited 16, right? 16 postgrad students, including one my student, okay? I just mentioned to her yesterday, hey, you can earn the money to buy a cell phone. So that's okay. So this will be, thank you all for all your participation in this event, also particularly this faculty staff for sharing your insight. Okay, so last I would like to thank all the library, in particular, the Chi also Lily, some may here for their hard work. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Jiang. Really appreciate your opening speech. So this year, we have recruited 13 new student champions and 3 staff champions from across campus. So that's 16 in total, as Professor Jiang just mentioned. And we also have 3 data champions returning from last year. And thanks so much for coming back. And I'm glad to announce that all 8 faculties here at CHK are well represented. And I have most of them here at present. So if you're not here, those of you may be online or you're not here today, but we will be having monthly meetings going forward. So we'll have exchange ideas about how to promote research and management ideas and strategies. And now let me introduce to you one by one our data champions who are present with us today. And we're grouping the champions by faculty, only by faculty, and listing them alphabetically by the last name. All right, so when I call your name, please come to the front and please wait to this round of introduction, and we'll end with a group picture together with Professor Jiang. So when I call your name, come here. All right, so let's start. Xuan Su Hong, Faculty of Arts, Department of Linguistics and Modern Language, Year 4 PhD student. Xuan Su, please. So Hoi-Sing Lam, Faculty of Arts, Department of History, first year MPhil student. Hoi-Sing, please. Lin-Xia Liu, Faculty of Arts, Department of Philosophy, first year PhD student. Thank you, Lin-Xia. And Carleon MENDOZA, Faculty of Arts, Department of Linguistics and Modern Languages, second year PhD student. Thank you, Carleon. And Mar Lawrence Gamboa Taiko, Faculty of Arts, Department of History, second year of MPhil student. Thank you, Mar. And Zhi Li, Faculty of Business, Department of Decisions, Operations and Technology, second year PhD student. Zhi, thank you. And Zitong Wang, Faculty of Education, Department of Education Administration and Policy, third year PhD student, who will be coming later. All right, I think. And yes, so Abdallah, Faculty of Engineering, Department of System Engineering, Engineering Management, first year PhD student. Thank you, Abdallah. Zachary Chen, Faculty of Law, Research Assistant. Thank you, Zachary. And Dr. Ricky Emma, Faculty of Medicine, the National School of Nursing, Professional Consultant. Thank you, Dr. Emma. And Hoi Chen Chen Dak, Faculty of Medicine, the Jockey Club School of Public Health and Primary Care, first year PhD student. Thank you, Dak. And Wei Ping Ling Haley, Faculty of Medicine, School of Medical Sciences, second year PhD student. Thank you, Haley. Yingcong Xue, Faculty of Medicine, Department of Medicine and Therapeutics, first year PhD student. Okay. And Jiang YEUNG Michelle, Faculty of Medicine, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, second year MPhil student. Thank you, Michelle. And Chiamaka Linda Machidama, Faculty of Science, School of Life Sciences, third year PhD student. Thank you, Linda. And last but not least, Hoi Ma Fei, Faculty of Social Science, Department of Geography and Resource Management, second year MPhil student. Thank you, Fei. All right, welcome to you all. All right, congratulations and welcome to the Data Champions 2025 program. We're excited that you're here. We look forward to a collaborative year working ahead together to promote research and management skills and best practices across our campus. Congratulations again. And let me ask Professor Jiang to come to the front and take a picture with all the data champions. Please, Professor Jiang. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations and welcome to the program. Thank you very much, Professor Jiang. Now, we're very fortunate to have three returning data champions to share the experiences with us today from their last year's experience. First of all, let us welcome Carleon MENDOZA from the Faculty of Arts. Carleon is a PhD candidate in the Department of Linguistics and Modern Languages, Faculty of Arts. So please come to the stage. Thank you, Carleon. We'll give you.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. I am Carleon MENDOZA. I am a linguistics major in linguistics student in the PhD. What am I saying? PhD. I'm a PhD student in linguistics in the Department of Linguistics and Modern Languages. So I represent the Faculty of Arts. And last year we had two, including me, we had two representatives in the Faculty of Arts. But as you can see, there are a lot of departments here. Now, one thing that I need to point out is that within all the departments here, we do a lot of qualitative research, but the fact is there's a lot of quantitative methods that need to be done to really bolster our research. So for instance, in the linguistics department, we do surveys, we do statistical modeling, we do corpus studies, and those require a lot of data management because they just take up so much space and a lot of just so much information to go on. And to further bolster my point, these departments practice their RDM very differently. We only found out last time in our last workshop that we held, they do things very differently among the departments. So, for instance, in the fine arts, there's actual physical objects that they need to manage, and imagine that being research data. How are you supposed to take care of that? And then there's also, well, actually, there's a lot of departments here that we've not reached out to. So having more representatives in the Faculty of Arts is actually a good thing here. So some of the experiences that I had last year, some of the things that we've done is, one, we held a lot of RDM workshops. So this is to reach out to as many faculty members, research members, as much as we can. The turnout has been great, but it can be better. Definitely could be better. I was also invited by Professor Patrick Wong, who is a Stanley Hook Professor of Cognitive Neuroscience and the director of Brain and Mind Institute, to be a part of his internal committee. So you can be a part of something big to work on RDM policies and practices in labs even. And that's been a very exciting experience. Finally, I had to provide technical support, RDM assistance to students and research members. So far, my experience is that they don't exactly know what to ask because they say that they've never practiced RDM. The fact is they have practiced RDM, we just put a name to it now. And there's a lot we need to do more, I believe, to raise the awareness of RDM and how important it is. So that's it. That's my sharing here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Carleon. Really appreciate your effort from last year and also sharing experience from last year with us. Right, we're very happy to have Zitong Wang from the Faculty of Education, who's returning from last year's Data Champions program.
The data champion of the 2024, and I would from the Department of Educational Policy, and so I would like to briefly introduce my duty during the last year. I will jump this slide due to time limit. I think some data champions also introduce our training in the last year's program. So I would like to briefly introduce my work or duty during the last program. Firstly, to have an overview of the data management in our faculty, I conduct a deep interview with faculty members as well as the PhD students, and also design the questionnaires to distribute the questionnaires within our faculty to understand the situation of the research data management. And also, I coordinate the research data management workshop conducted by the library, and also I prepare some material and hold the workshop, my workshop to improve the research data management. Here's pictures. That is a Lily's workshop. And also, I conduct some workshop by myself. The Lily's workshop is mainly targeted for the faculty members, and my workshop is mainly for our research students. And based on the questionnaire results and also the interview results, and the feedback from my workshop, I can give some suggestions or advice for the following year's data champions. I think the workshop is quite helpful and beneficial, and the audience spoke highly about the workshop based on the results of the after workshops interviews and questionnaires. And the workshop is gives the audience a general knowledge of the research data management, and the audience asked me to give some details such like how to share the data and the manage the version of the data. So I think the workshop about how to detail manage the data is quite beneficial for the future data champions. And also, for the research data management, I think the data repository contain only quite
less projects. And I hope that more data champions can inform the more research to put more data into the data repository. So this is a brief introduction of my last year's work. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Okay.
Thank you very much, Zitong, from your sharing. All right, so next I will welcome Michelle Yang from the Faculty of Medicine. Thank you very much, Michelle.
So good morning, everyone. This is Michelle from the Faculty of Medicine Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. So I'm a data champion last year and some simple sharing today. So unlike Karen, we have different data, especially when we do clinical trials, and we have some supportive laboratory works as well. So, but actually research data management is equally important because nowadays we need the RDM repository in order to register for the clinical trials. So what do is that through workshops and talks, we educate our fellows and also we learn together with them as well how to do RDM repository, how to manage them, and in our clinical settings and also in our laboratory settings. So with great help from Professor Grace and Terry last year, and together with my fellow data champions last year, we did a great job. And so, but still, we experienced some challenges, including that we're still not that familiarized with the RDM strategy. So that's why we're back again to learn and support our fellows as well. And we have another obstacles for being lack of time in trainings and using it repeatedly. So this is just suggestions to the cohort this year that we will just engage in more trainings. So you'll be fruitful in the RDM, and also you got many support from the library, and also most importantly, the friendship. So that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. And it was inspiring to hear what our returning champions have to share from last year's experience. Let's actually turn to our next slide. All right, great. So now we're very delighted and honored to have 5 esteemed faculty members with us today for a panel discussion on research data management topics. All 5 faculty members are recipients of our Research Data Management Fund, RDM Fund, here at the university here, and they will be sharing the experiences with RDM funded research projects and discussing other related topics with us. I know the professor I told will have a class till 10:30. So let me introduce you to our esteemed panelists here. So first, we have Professor Jerome Hui. Professor Jerome Hui is a professor in the School of Life Sciences at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. He earned his doctorate degree from the University of Oxford and both his bachelor and master's degree from the University of Hong Kong. He is a biologist and he has previously obtained the RDM Development Fund 2023 for a project focused on sequencing data. Today, he will serve as a panel moderator. Thank you so much, Professor Hui, and share his experience on the RDM funded project alongside with 4 esteemed colleagues. Thank you again, Professor Hui. Next, we have Professor Heijing Huang. Professor Heijing Huang is an assistant professor in the Department of English at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. She holds a BA from Korea National University of Education, an MA from Seoul National University, and a PhD from University of Hawaii and Manoa. Her research interests include language acquisition of morphosyntax, natural language processing, and psycholinguistics. Professor Huang is a recipient of the RDM Development Fund 2023 and has been working on a project about corpus and artificial intelligence. Thank you and welcome, Professor Huang. Next, we have Professor Julian Frumbach. Professor Julian Frumbach is an assistant professor in the Department of Psychology at CHK. He joined the department in 2023 after obtaining his PhD from ETH Zurich, Switzerland, and completing a postdoctoral research fellowship at Columbia University. His research focuses on age diversity and aging in work-related contexts. Professor Frambach is a recipient of the RDM Development Fund 2023, working on a project about building digital self-efficacy for continued employment. Thank you and welcome, Professor Frambach. Next, we have Professor Aito, who will be joining us soon. And Professor Aito is a professor in the Department of Chemistry at the CHK. Professor Aito obtained his bachelor and PhD degrees from CHK. His research interests center around the colloids, surface chemistry, polymers, and soft matter. Professor Ngai is a recipient of a faculty RDM incentivizing program fund, representing the Faculty of Science. He is also a member of the Committee on Research Data Management, chaired by Professor Liwen Jiang, representing the Faculty of Science. Thank you and welcome, Professor Ngai, as well. Last but not least, we have Professor Terry Yi. Professor Terry is a co-director at the Medical Data Analytics Center and an associate professor in the Department of Medicine and Therapeutics at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Professor Yi's research focuses on medical data analytics and its applications in improving healthcare outcomes. He is actively involved in various projects that leverage data science to address critical medical challenges. Professor Yi is a recipient of a faculty RDM incentivizing program fund, representing the Faculty of Medicine. Thank you and welcome, Professor Yi. Now over to you, Professor Hui. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. Yeah, please have a seat here. And this.
The ceiling microphone, so we don't need a microphone, or
We still need a microphone, yeah, for the Zoom purpose. Thank you. Yeah,
okay.
so this is on. Thanks.
okay. So while we are waiting for Professor Nai, so I'm Jerome. So I've been asked. I don't know why they picked me. I presume it's a lucky draw. So we are very lucky. So we are going to do three things in this session. Okay. The first, we are going to ask every champion to maybe spend a few minutes to introduce your project, such that the audience, no matter here or on Zoom, will better understand what we are doing. And then we'll probably see the diversity that we see. And then very kindly, the library has already prepared a few questions for us that we need to go through one by one. And then that's what we're going to do. And at the end will be the Q&A session for people here and over on Zoom. Just WhatsApp Professor To and see if he is arriving. Okay. He said he just finished the lecture. He's coming. So I will try my best. So we start with first part. First part is we are going to talk about an overview of your RDM funded project. So is there anyone who would like to start first, Julian?
Sure.
Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Yeah, thank you so much for the question, Jerome. So yeah, so my project that is funded by the data management grant is about older employees' self-efficacy. So these are actually two topics which might intuitively you think they're very different, right? So it's about aging in the workplace. So my research focuses age diversity and careers over the lifespan. And we also see this trend of digitization of the workplace and everywhere, also data management, right? So and yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes against older employees in the workplace, but it's also important due to demographic changes and that we kind of continue to train employees across the lifespan and try to create an environment that is fruitful for everyone and allows learning for younger and older employees. So that's kind of the focus of this research project. And maybe in terms of data, so I'm planning to collect longitudinal data of employees across several time points over 1 year to see some development and how they change in certain characteristics and attitudes. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now may I invite Harry? Yeah, coming from Department of English.
Yes. First, thanks for this opportunity to share my project and also Professor Hui to moderate this one. So my project is basically, on the development of an automated essay scoring system using, lots of available resources now, including ChatGPT style large language models. And also I'm developing my own automated scoring system. So that is basically the main purpose of my project. So in terms of the data, I actually wanted to kind of create and share the data set where lots of detailed information about essay writers is available, because there are actually many different data sets which are open source on the web, but all the essays are written on different topics. And sometimes we don't know who are writers. Are they second language writers or are they native speakers? So I wanted to actually, wow, yeah. so yeah, I'm studying AI, but it was very accurate. Yeah, but anyways, so I wanted to collect the data from basically second language writers of English. And then I wanted to know when is their age of onset learning English as a second language, and what is their native language, for example. And also, do they have some experience in living or staying in a English dominant country, because the exposure related factors are also important. And also, I measured some proficiency using some independent measure of proficiency as well, because we know that higher proficiency learners are, are able to use more complex and more difficult vocabulary items or structures as well. So I collected all this participant background information, and it's still ongoing. So that's the data. So I have some background information of the second language writers and their essays. And also the essays were kind of the timed, so I can control for the time across the participants for writing, completing a task. So I have the essay data as well. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so now can I invite Terry from Faculty of Medicine to talk about your RDM funded RDM project.
Thank you, Professor He. Sorry. And also, I'm first of all, I'd like to thank you, the library, for the support for the incentive fund. So for this incentive fund, so we do not have a particular research question to solve, but the aim for this fund, I guess, is to promote RDM in our faculty. So the first thing that we did in this project is to understand the problems that our colleagues are facing. So I think one of the main problems that we have in the faculty is that, so we are shifting from an old style of the research to a newer style of the research. So what does that mean? So in the old days, so we try to collect the data one by one. When we see one patient, we collect the patient data one by one. But now, because of the structures of the hospitals in Hong Kong, so we can now collect a lot of data from the public hospitals in Hong Kong, because they share the same computer system. So we are shifting to a newer style of the research. So we have to handle a lot of data from different public hospitals in Hong Kong. So a lot of our colleagues facing a problem that, so they are new to this kind of research, and the data management technique or skills is quite different from what they did in the old days. So first of all, we gather these kind of problems that our colleagues are facing, and we try to organize some talks, and also try to popularize ourselves as the point that the colleagues can come over and ask for help. So I think over the past years, what we are doing is to let our colleagues know how to better manage these kind of data.
Right, and now, thank you, Terry. So now you just come on time, Professor To. So are you ready? Professor I is coming from chemistry, from Faculty of Science. So if you can briefly introduce what is your funded project, then we will, before we get into the second section, that would be very useful.
So in chemistry department, and then one of the project I involved, we partner with one of the colleagues, and then we try to focus on one of the, for example, one of the student research project, and then what we are going to handle the data during the whole period of the research data, rather than all put on the hard copy in the notebook. But the other thing also, I think we also consider the student during the research, and then she may have found a lot of the useful reference information. and then how those information they can be later on can be shared with other the groupmate, or even when she finished the project, how we can pass to the next one, and then we can try to see that means how we can after finish one of this research project, and then maybe some will have the publication, but we still have a lot of data, a lot of the version material, the student they collect during the research, and then how we are going to utilize all this data, and they can share with the not only I think in the our research group, but also can be in the further can be to the community in our research field, and then they can also share all this material.
So for mine, okay. So mine is working on sequencing data. So of course, I come from a School of Life Sciences. But when we do the sequencing data, for us in science, it's pretty common that we usually will have our open data. But when we do this project, what we're trying to do is to make a standardized protocol. So for example, when you have sequencing data, no matter Sanger sequencing, next generation sequencing, or even long-read sequencing, then how should you deposit the data to the library, to our database? So what we have done is that in our first meeting, we just invite a group of students coming, and then those are people who are the frontline people who are doing with that. We come up with a protocol, then we do it in the life science and Faculty of Science, invite others that may be doing and see what our established protocol, give feedback, etc. And then at the end, we do one that is throughout for the whole university. So eventually we establish the protocol and put it back into the database and library, and also get some video. So for us, it's just mainly established protocol for people in the future. How do they handle and upload the raw data for the university? So they don't need to listen to us. They can go to the protocol and video, and they can follow it. That's the whole idea. So that's the first part. I mean, so we finish right on time. Okay, so we can go to the second one. I mean, the second one may not be straightforward. So kindly prepared by the library. There are a few questions that each of the champions will probably need to answer. In the first part, you probably see or share your experience. I mean, so in the first part, you probably see that the diversity of these projects are also coming from different fields, but there should be some common theme and knowledge or take-home messages that you'll be able to get. I mean, a large language model, I mean, data collection, how to handle big data, and then raw materials, student lab notes, etc. So the first question is that, what are the biggest challenges that you face in managing research data, and how do you address them? If I may start with Toll this time, I mean, so because we started with Julian last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things, because we focus on the research in my research group, and then sometimes there may be each year I can have several different students, and each student have a different research project. So the one of the challenge that means usually after this student graduate, and then traditional way what we do is that I ask the student had all the data in the and then that means the soft copy, give me one of the soft copy, and then the other one, and then he also have a lot of this hard copy material. So usually we have one of the both. And then put all the material inside, because in the future maybe this data be important for example the patent application, whatever. And then I label the name of student graduate year, and then that means after each the student graduate, I keep the one box of the data in my lab. But that means you see, you can imagine after 20 years how many boxes will be in the lab. So that means this is the one of the challenges that maybe currently I'm thinking that we need to use the AI or can help us how to manage all this accumulated data in my laboratory. They may be already there may be tens of these different the boss in my lab.
Okay, thank you, Toll. So may I invite Terry?
So yes, as I mentioned just now, I think one of the most important challenge that we are facing is the increasing data volumes and also the complexity. So usually in clinical data, we have different data types. For example, like imaging data or the patient blood test results, and also a lot of different use of medication, and also different kind of clinical diagnosis or like procedures that they have done in the hospitals or clinics. So maybe sometimes difficult to integrate the data and also to manage the data. And I think another challenge that we face, I think I share the same view with Professor To. So it is about like data sharing. So for example, I have an experience. So one of my former research assistants, so he left the post, and of course I asked him to give me all the data that I used to ask him to handle. But because of the lack of a very good data dictionary or documentation, I found that so I cannot interpret what he did in the data set. So I think this is the point that we come up with the important concept that we need a definite documentation or the so-called data dictionary to ensure that the data can be passed to someone else and can continue with the ongoing analysis. Thank you.
That's very good. Thank you. So maybe Harun.
So for my project, I guess one of the biggest challenges is to interpret others' data to improve my own system. So I need to actually compare my own, against other systems developed by other researchers. And when I try to look at their codes and when I try to look at their data and sometimes my own data in the past, it's really hard what I said here, So for example, for my own code, at the moment that I'm working on it, it's very obvious. Okay, this code it means this code means this, right? So from this data management fund, because I need to share that on the repository on CUHK and other repositories as well. So I try to annotate my own codes very kindly to illustrate everything there. And also for my own data, when I create a data set, I try to kind of name each file very clearly so that I know what that file means. So, I'm, using some underscore, I try to put all helpful information in the text files names, for example. But still, it's really hard to make everything very consistent and clear.
Thank you. Maybe Julian.
Sure. So I think maybe first of all, so I'm I work on organizational psychologist. So I think a lot of the data that I collect is not as complicated maybe as some of the data you collect. This may be different though for other colleagues in the Department of Psychology, with EEG measures or FNIRS data or neuroimaging. Sure. There's also a lot of questions how to handle the data, how to store it, and so forth. With the data I'm collecting, very quantitative, just numbers. But what I can see is like two things. First, especially studying, interested being in dynamics and longitudinal changes. What we are often missing is like longitudinal data sets, like over even like very long time spans. I think I cannot fully cover this with a data management grant, but at least 1 year and some longitudinal data, and so I think that's one step, and also trying to do it to standardize it. But what I can also see there's more and more the trend of or interest of using machine learning models also for analyzing the data, not just with regression analysis or similar, but this really needs big data sets. I think generally from the nature of the data, I think it should be possible. But again, it's about combining data sets. It's very different. Even the items, the questions often in the data sets are very slightly different contexts. So I think the matching is actually really one challenge in the data management, and then to maybe generate really big data sets to actually be able to use these models in the future.
Thank you. So I can't escape. I mean, so I'll stand next time by myself. Don't worry. So the biggest challenge in managing, I think very similarly, I mean, because we are doing sequencing, or for example, when we have a genome, but the version that we publish, we usually get it public. But before that, you also need to do many different versions in order to get the best one. So all those are what we call the raw materials. So those are the ones that would really take up a lot of storage and trace, and also need to name them correctly. So that's why if we're able to deposit into the university, I mean, our library and the database, that would be very useful for everyone to keep track. and also, I mean, trying to understand what we have been doing. Usually journals won't accept that. Journals only accept the final version. So that is something that I see a plus, not only for ourselves, not only for science, medicine. I mean, many different faculty doing sequencing will benefit a lot. I mean, from that. That's how I see. So the second question is, how do we ensure integrity and how to reproduce your research data? As I've said, I will start first. I mean, so the integrity, I mean, so very link up to what I've just said. I mean, if I'm able to produce every single step, even those raw materials that we have produced, no matter from experiments or sequencing, etc., that we won't get into the but if we publish in the paper, right, you really put up, well, after lots of experiment, but other previous step that the raw materials can also be get back into the database. That will be really, ensure integrity and how to reproduce the data. If we can put all the single steps. One interesting thing is that our data deposited to the library, and then some students, not from science, have been using in engineering. They've been trying to play on other algorithm development. So that is actually something totally unexpected for us, but that would be useful in another way. So maybe this time, maybe I start with Terry first. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So I think about, first of all, integrity. So I guess, I share the same view with Jerome. So we should document every workflow and also every step that we produce the data. And I think one of the important things in medicine would be the data checking and data validity checking. So first of all, when we collect the data, we will check whether the data itself is within a reasonable range. For example, maybe when we look at the age of the patient, so we'll see whether there's negative numbers or something like that. So I think this is the first step that we ensure that the data we collect is reasonable. It makes sense. So, and then we also try to keep track with some sort of data log. So whenever one try to modify the data or try to assess the data, we will have a loss. So to mark down that who have accessed the data at that time, so that when some problems happen, so some issue happen, so we can trace back what happened, what is the most possible issue that's underlying the problem. So I think this is the second way that we tackle about the integrity. For the reproducibility, I think I just quite similar to what I've said just now. So I think I will keep track of all the workflows and all the data sets and also the source codes. So when we use some program coding, so to handle the data, so we'll also put all those codings onto the data repository, so that the other can reproduce and can replicate the results. And there's also one additional thing about medicine data is because of the sensitivity of the patient privacy. So what we did before we can share the data would be to de-identify the data first, so that the others who analyze data cannot trace back who are these patients. Yeah.
We can talk about the sensitivity issue later. You have lots of time for that. All right, so maybe would that be okay?
Yes, thank you. So I think my own data is less sensitive to really, personal information than any others here, I guess. So to improve the, I think in our field, it's kind of transitioning to open science and open data. So always when I, work on my own project, I try to put all the aggregated data to the, open source repository there. And also I put all my codes there so that readers can follow what I did in my research article. And I think it can kind of contribute to open science. And actually that's the way I actually learned from others' papers as well. When I read some papers and it looks very interesting, then I often go to their, repository and then download their data and their codes, and I kind of try to get the same results which were reported in the previous article. So I try to kind of follow that track. So that's what I do. Yeah.
Thank you. Julian, would you like to share
Of course.
about integrity?
Integrity and
Yes.
reproducibility. Sure. So first of all, I think first of all, these topics also in my field, I think this more and more important when I did my PhD. I think there were some first more commentary articles like we have to do this more and more, and I think now we can see this really happening. So actually, I think it's a great change, a great development. But at the same time, that means it's constantly changing. So what are the standards? What is what do we have to do? So I think it's a constant learning process generally. And in terms of integrity, also I think trying to validate the data is definitely one step, such as similar with age and these steps, or then sometimes they report work experience, and I typically do the check if work experience is longer than their higher than their age. There's something wrong with the data. So honest responses, or careless responding is sometimes really an issue with our scales, or dropouts, and so some biases, social desirability. So typically we try to already during the data collection, trying to include statements like there are no right or wrong answers, to really try motivate participants so they give their honest answers. In terms of reproducibility, what I also do, as you already mentioned, trying to have a protocol or a logbook of what happens during data collection. There are always some if it's longitudinal, every day measurement wave, some things can happen, or when maybe some participants decides they want to withdraw from the study. So you have to, note that down. And some of these details maybe is even too detailed to write it in the main part of the data of the paper. So maybe have some additional, appendix, or at least, but we at least I start to forget very quickly. So it's really, really important to, or I really learned to do this right away when something happens, to really, note it down right away. So everything is there, and that helps hopefully to enhance their reproducibility.
Thank you. Yeah. Cool.
So I think the similar philosophy about the integrity is important also. So always we will ask all the data is keep the original data. We have the experimental data for different measurement, but even later on become the graphy to report, but we still keep the original data in there. And then for the reproducibility, so I think that some of the protocol may be developed in our research lab. But as Helen, he also mentioned that we can also see many reference paper. They come down from the book. So this is also one the funding from this library. I'm thinking how we can share this valuable this information to other community in the field. So now I'm thinking we are now the project we are developing is doing in this way. So in our lab we have a development of a method. Actually, we also can see a lot of reference paper, and then we now try to use the AI. We try to put all this become a small library. For example, for this method development, I think that the one thing advantage in the future, even this student graduate, and then when a newcomer come in, and then we have this small library, but very specific focus on this problem. And the student maybe, for example, put some of the keyword, and then they will be generate this protocol. For example, in the current topic, we want to make one of the particle. The particle they can be of the different size, different shape. And then we have our own protocol. We also have all this library from all the reference paper the student collect. Now we all put in this small database. And then when the new student come in, and then actually they don't need to always ask the code. Now they share in the small platform in our good. The student just say, "Oh, I want to make this particle or 100 nanometer, what the sphere or what diamond shape," and then put the keyword, and then they will generate the particle actually a combination, even from our particle, also from some reference material. And then this is one thing that means we can ensure this one can be able to produce even not only our particle or even some of the reference paper. So this is one thing that we are trying to working on this small project in here.
Okay, so for this question, so if I may, try to generalize it for our audience. I see three major points, but please correct me if I'm wrong. One is on the raw data. Sharing back into the database, that will be very, very useful from what you may be able to see from different fields. The other one is about the protocols development, to which if you can list out step by step, even though when we go to sensitive issue, we can talk about that, but that will be very useful, not only for yourself, for the people, but also for the people in the future, no matter from the lab or for the field. The issue is what Julian has mentioned very nicely, careful curation. So you need to make sure that they are very, very well curated in a way to which, for example, the age, right? The working age, etc. So I think this may be a few major issues. Of course, there could be various varieties when it goes to the other field, but the principle seems to be quite true in the meantime. So the other question is about the strategies that people use to organize or store your research data effectively. I think To just mentioned about you have your own database. So
we now try to use some of the resource also that from the funding opportunity. I think that not only we always facing a lot of problems, as I mentioned. Okay, the student, they collect so many the experimental data, and then they also have collect a lot of important reference material, and then that means usually we are thinking about how we can share this data. At this moment, we try to have a small platform just within the lab that all the students they can approach to here. I think this one. So we have a local. That means in our lab we try to have a local, like a small server. That means and then in my office, and then the student, that means they can open, and then the student they can have one connection, but we don't store any data on the open area. They just use a channel come to this and take this data. And then I think this is one way. And then the other thing is also important. We also have many unpublished data, and then also the student thesis, and then also things. So we can, of course we can ask open AI to collect or to, but still have some that means the sensitivity, or we have no idea whether this the publication or this student thesis with how this variable at this moment, we maybe have no idea. So I think that some of the small scale, that means the internal lab, this storage and management is important. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, To. Terry.
Yeah, I think for storage, so what we did in our department is we have a server for storage, and the server also have an automatic backup every day. So that will make sure that we don't lose the precious data that we collect, use a lot of time to collect. And I think another important point would be what other panelists also mentioned just now is the structured file names and the folder names. I think this is also very helpful for us. So I make sure we have one folder for each of the project, and also if the file name is meaningful, so that we can trace back in the future. So when we want to use the data again for validation, or when we want to replicate our own results. And we also trying recently to create a so-called the data catalog, because we have like different kinds of projects, so we can easily forget something that we did before. So we try to like for example, it's very simple. So we have like project 1, 2, 3, and the file location of each of the projects. So when I go through that data catalog, that will help me easily find where I store the data for a particular project. Thank you.
Harry.
So I think I am not using that fancy methods for my own stuff. But I think like my own data is basically like the text-based data. So I think in terms of the size, it should be, like smaller, I guess. So when I collect the data with the help of my research assistants, I asked them to back up the data in the, flash drive in, like 2 terabytes or something like that. And then when it reaches like 100 participants, and then I will get that flash drive, and then I will upload to, Dropbox, and then I share the data with my collaborators, basically. So yeah, that's it.
Julian?
Yeah. So effective strategy. Honestly, to be very honest, this project made me also, I think, I didn't really had a very elaborated strategy previously, but I think the project really, the data management project fund really helped me to think before data collection already about strategy from the beginning to the end, like how about data storage and, what will be deleted, de-anonymization or anonymization, and where it will be stored and for the time. And also, actually, this is a very good idea. What I haven't done so far, but to kind of try to maintain the data also from thesis students is actually a very important step, maybe. Yeah, so maybe this is something I'm learning now, and will maybe also integrate in my own research or lab. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So for us, I mean, our data are also quite big. I mean, usually gigabytes or terabytes. So we usually do put on our own server, very similar to Toe. But at the same time, when we publish, we also put it outside. So now it's good. I mean, now we also have our database in our own university, so we can also have put it up in our own database as well. So I think for what I can see in this part regarding the strategy, no matter a lot of data, fancy server or flash drive, I mean, I think the whole idea is very similar that we see. Also, you need to make the record right. I mean, you can keep track, and also the data, just not having one copy, at least you have multiple copies. I mean, in case one is down, then you still go to the other one. So do I miss anything, or that's pretty much what? Yeah, and we develop a good attitude towards it. Right. So our next question will be on the so we pretty much also touch on it, which is about how to handle the data sharing and collaboration with other researchers or institutions. So maybe we start with Julian.
Sure. So I think this is typically what we do is, well, there are 2 strategies maybe. Sometimes it's just we really kind of divide roles within a project, and some people really focus on the data management, on the data evaluation, and some maybe don't even need the data or are not involved in that part of the project. Another approach maybe, yeah, then I think simply to reach some explicit agreement. I think again, being very honest, I think this is often done more, not always done in a written form, but I think it's maybe, I think it should be maybe done, or is, I don't know, honestly, whether there are, yeah, exactly. But I also know, of course, there are some international regulations, right? So I haven't collaborated with researchers in the mainland yet, but I know there are some, some guidelines we have to follow with the data sharing. So also from the university. So yeah, just being aware of all these guidelines and compliance standards, I think is very important once we do it.
Thank you, Ren.
Thank you. So I basically, I use 2 ways. Basically, I use, some, like a OneDrive, Google Drive, or Dropbox to put my data there. And then, share my data. That's one strategy. And another strategy that I, kind of adopted recently is we kind of purchased some software. I forgot the software's names, but we both can actually log into a separate computer, and then we can handle the data in that different computer. So it's very helpful because we are using, so this is a little different project, but we are doing some eye tracking project there. And then eye tracker is actually attached to that laptop. And then we can log into that laptop, which is actually in Korea from here, Hong Kong, very easily in real time. So it really helps. Yeah.
Thank you. Terry?
So I think for data sharing in our faculty, so usually there is two ways. So for some more close collaborators, so we trust each other, so we can just sharing the data template, so what kind of data that we need from each others, and then we just share it through cloud service like OneDrive. And we try to also set some access control, so we make sure that only those authorized people can access to the data. But for some new collaboration, usually start something new. So we usually sign a data use agreement first. So yeah, to make sure that we trust each other through the agreements, so that we can fix limited the data use. So the data can only be used for a certain project, and you cannot use our data and then for publishing and other things, something like that. So because we need some time to build trust. But so first of all, it's better to protect us each other through an agreement. But later on, when we become close collaborator, I think the things will be more simple.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's similar to Terry and Helen mentioned. Mostly for this collaboration, always we build on the trust, right? And then so simply normally we just the traditional way or OneDrive, and then even if the collaborator is within Hong Kong or international, use Dropbox. But if I have some experience, if we collaborate with the mainland China, but mostly we need to share the data in the WeChat group. So this is the one. So this normally this is the one way. But also we have mentioned a little bit some of the policy we need to comply with the data sharing. I got one experience to share recently. That means we have one project collaborate with the mainland China, the collaborator, and then after we finish, and then we would like to have the come out the publication. But before the publication, and then I would like to file one of the patent. So there were different patents, but at that time I just want to quickly, so want to get some of the US patent first. But sometimes this will be data sharing become the problem. If we have some of the collaborator with mainland China, that means if we want to file the patent, we need to file the patent in China first, before we can go to the other country to file the patent, because of this collaboration. And then if we don't want to file the patent in China first, and then we need to collect all the data, and then they have one authority party, and then they will be review of all this data publication. They maybe take a month or 6 months, and then you can do so this is one experience. That means in the future, for such the data deposit, the platform will be important. Why? Otherwise, sometimes if we really facing this problem, then we need the collaboration, this data management, data sharing. Yeah.
Can I just what I forgot to say, or whenever I share data, what I do is definitely I de-identify data before doing that, or if I'm the main data, if I'm the collecting the data and it's confidential, I typically really try to unless it's like very necessary, but then again more regulations or more trust and being more careful. But in general, in most cases, it's not necessary. So I just share the anonymous data set, which I think is also then easier.
So for us, it's very similar. So we use our server, and then we will share the data with collaborators. But of course, they need to have a certain password to come in. Recently, we also try to use the one in the library, and then we can upload data and share. But it's embarrassing and not very nice experience at that time, which we learned, which is we share it but we make it public so that people know what we are doing, and then they just try to publish as quickly as possible. So make sure that when you share ways like that, make sure that you share with the right people. So we didn't know at the beginning. So that's something that we should take note. I mean, but we learn from it. And the last bit is about the sensitive and confidential data. So what measures do you take to protect it? And any insight on data ethics that you could share with us? So maybe I start myself. I mean, so I can't ask you to start every time. So for us, I mean, because we're biologists, we are mainly working on biodiversity. So the data, the sequencing data, most of them will not be having too much of a sensitive or confidential issue. But the fact that I understand my colleagues, some of which may be working on sequencing data, on other things, they may be thinking of filing patents, etc., and that could be an issue. So learning from the library, I understand that you can actually make them put in there, but without publishing. So that will help to protect, and you can still apply for patent, I mean, etc. So I speak for both sides, okay, in that case. So anyone who would like to start, I mean, anyone who would like to follow up on sensitive and confidential data?
I think with science research, sometimes it's difficult to define. Actually, I always think my research is not so important, right? Not so confidential. But sometimes
you have a company.
So always we are thinking normally before we are doing some of this fundamental research. Mostly we are quite open in before to share the data, and then not so put a lot of the issue how to put our data. But I know that we really depending on the feature of the research. If some colleagues they are focused, for example, the drug delivery, and then you are as far as competition for some of the drug molecule discovery, that will be important. But in my case, normally I always most of research I done in the university. I don't think, but sometimes when we go outside for the patent application, sometimes on the collaborate, particular for the collaboration, sometimes people will say, "Oh, this is why it's important."
Right, Terry, thank you.
Yeah, so on our side, I think our data is usually quite sensitive because of the personal data for each of the patients. So it is involves some privacy. So what we have to do is before the data collection, we have to apply for ethics approval through our ethics committee, so that every data collection is protected under the ethics approval, and we can only collect the data that we specified in the proposal. And there's really some incidents that when some researchers they really collect the data out of the proposal that they submitted to the ethics committee, and then they're being caught by someone. And that really have some consequence to that principal investigator. So I think it's very important to make sure that you apply for the ethics approval and only do what you are approved. And I think this is the first thing. And I think the identification is definitely very important. So when we talk about data sharing and also sharing among our research team, we also do the identification, because sometimes we really don't need those like HKID. We don't need that to analyze the data. If we don't need that, we can just omit that, and then we use just like a non-traceable like a key or reference key or like ID to represent of the patient instead of using the Hong Kong ID. And of course, we have to do password protected when there's some sensitive information like HKID, age, and sex, and this is what we did. Yeah.
Yes. So I think to kind of anonymize the participants' personal information, I do basically the same thing. So I hide their names, email addresses, and so on. So I think I can share something about the research ethics a little bit though. So for people who are working on AI related stuff, I think people kind of assume that like any data on the web can be used for their research, but actually that's not true. So I often tell my students to check the copyright conditions on each website before crawling the data from there, for example. So for sure, when we see lots of comments on YouTube, they are somewhat shared, right? But for research, I think it's okay to use them. But let's say if you want to kind of create your own corpus based on the newspapers, then you need to check the copyright issues. So I always try to check those. Yes.
Yeah, so I think similar. I think most point similar to what you have already mentioned, other panel members. Whenever possible, I try to collect anonymous data, so it's less sensitive in general. And but otherwise, also de-identification later on, or using like self-generated codes sometimes. But there are also issues. I've just recently doing data curation on this, and when you ask people to generate a code by themselves using like I don't know, some digits of their phone number and so forth, like they're sometimes really yeah, it's very unfortunate sometimes. I'm not sure this is the best strategy always. So I'm you know, sometimes this strategy, sometimes another strategy. It always depends a little bit on the context. And as Terry mentioned, also we always have to get ethics approval from ethics committee before we collect the data. So yeah.
Ethics approval is very important. So having said that, I mean, I just remember that we used to have one project that is working on the incense tree, okay, so in Hong Kong, there's a tree that is protected in Hong Kong. The name of Hong Kong coming from, I mean, from this tree. So that is a protected tree, but we did a project that with herbarium and also the government together to try to understand the different places of this tree. Then we have the genome. So in that case, because it's protected, people sometimes illegally fell them. So the GPS, I mean, the location of them become a very sensitive issue. So in that case, of course, I mean, it depends. So we need to maybe make a bigger region and say in something like that. So I think we need to be also very aware of the project that you're doing, as well that, of course, I mean, taking different ethical approval, safety approval, and also ensure, because we can't say overall, I mean, even though we are very diverse over here, but I'm sure the whole universe is much more diverse. I mean, so make sure if anything is unclear, talk to our safety office, talk to the library, talk to your faculty. Okay, I'm just being very responsible. Go back to your associate dean and assistant dean. Liwen is not here now. Okay, so right. So this pretty much the questions that we have gone through from managing research data, integrity, how to organize and store them effectively, how to handle the sharing, as well as when you face sensitive and confidential data, how are we going to deal with it? So this pretty much, but I think we have reached some consensus or some rule of thumb, if you like. I mean, that will be able to be, hopefully will be useful to all of you, okay? So the third part is going to be Q&A. So you're welcome to fire up any questions. Wow, really? Okay, please, okay. You can say this question is asking who, okay?
So this question is open for everyone.
Okay.
Take your time. So everyone here has done projects, whether in the past, current, or upcoming in the future. And most of these projects, if not all of them, should have different people involved, whether they are research assistants, postdoc, yourselves, other lab members, and especially student helpers who are on a part-time basis. Maybe they show up just once, right? So do you have any specific protocol or procedure that makes sure, well, to handle all these like people viewing data and like sharing data across or within your lab?
Right. I mean, everyone's looking at me, so right. So for me, I mean, of course, I mean, to us, although even though our lab, for example, in terms of my lab, I mean, people will see the data, but they will only get access to the data that really relating to that project. So I think that's the best way. So that will we're not trying to say which category you are in, but really, if you really need the data, then you need to have access of such, and people will become to have the being responsible for such data. But usually for student helper, because they may be coming in and out or part time, so maybe on various other things. I mean, also from PI's perspective, you also may be also considering what data you may be able to handle for this student helpers. So I think this is a two-sided answer. On one side is about the project itself, whether that is suitable for whether various members in HPI's group to look for it in my own and humble opinion. The other way is about the PI assigning what kind of data as well. So that's my humble answer. If anyone have any supplement or.
It's similar depending on the duty. I think normally what kind of the duty assigned for the student helper, mostly for such a kind of the project development, mostly is a data collection, or sometimes it's the program building, and then for helper to be better management. So in principle, the student helper, and then normally they already involve one of the project, and then just Joan's mentioned, they may not have the right to access all the database in our research group. Their role will be different from some of the typical research postgrad student in our lab or our.
Are you satisfied? Good. Okay. You have to. Right. Any other questions? Or any question on Zoom? Oh no, please. The lady here. You need a microphone because people on Zoom need to hear.
Thank you very much for all the inputs and insights. I'm not sure if I'll end up with a question, but I'm just gonna lay this out on the table. Like, I'm coming from history, and so I'm hearing from you, most of the data you use, you have collaboration, so it's like easier if everyone else can access them. But in some cases where we don't work, like say in digital humanities, we like projects working specifically qualitative outputs. Most of the data they have, we use, or the older it is, the better, because we use archival materials, and some of this may not exactly be accessed through like online databases, and some of this you have to go to collect in some archives at some place else. So my concern in our field though is like, we, at least in my experience right now as a researcher, is that we don't have that kind of culture where we share the data before, like say, publishing it. So most of this are like and the downside is like, for instance, you are actually working on the same raw like say archival material, but then sometimes like you need to have the right connection to tell you, oh, you can actually access it here. So it's more of the index of like, where can I actually get that material to work on. So I think that that's what I'm seeing here, that maybe if it's like we have an index, or this could be accessed through these archives, and so it would be easier for us students, because sometimes some person actually was able to access that, but we don't know that they already have that, so it becomes redundant. We actually have like several of this data. So
I think that's an excellent I shouldn't say question, but excellent comment. I mean, so of course, I mean, here people are quite open. I shouldn't say open, but I mean, yeah, I mean, there may be some fields that we understand that they have a very different culture in that case. I mean, so the rule of thumb is, if for students anything unclear, talk to your PI. I'm being very responsible way of saying it. You two are sitting on the same boat. I mean, but I mean, maybe I throw the question back to you with a question. It's like, I understand the culture is like that, but how about if that is going to be, your data will be able to be open to others? Do you think that will help your own research? What do you think?
Yes, actually, like there have been like evolution of how we approach like different methodology right now in dealing with the archives. So in fact, I'm more open to digital humanities now, seeing like large language models. And prior to that, like most of the studies that I've been worked on or read are usually not doing that. So, but now that I'm seeing this evolution in how we actually process like this information that we gather, I see now the importance of that. And therefore, that's why I'm more interested in building that culture of like sharing the data that will eventually be used for like more collaboration, and thus avoiding also like a redundancy of a certain like processing of this data.
That's great. Yeah. You can be the pioneer.
I have like representatives from history here.
You all can be pioneers then.
And
Yeah, of course
something there.
they do.
Yeah.
Faculty of Arts.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I have like some kind of minor suggestion. Which language are you working?
On Filipino, and
I see.
Well, actually, my period is English, but then there may be documents that could be translated.
I see.
Yeah.
So it really depends on languages, I guess. But I think, let's say if you want to actually look at the very old books, right, and then it's not digitalized yet, right? Then I know, like, if I remember correctly, when I did my like MA studies, sometimes librarians didn't want us to copy those old books because those can be damaged from the copying machine, right? So, but like now, I think you can just take a screenshot, right? And then you can use the automated character recognition technology, right? And then you can actually digitize the raw text into something. Of course, there will be kind of some errors, but I think it can contribute to your field, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, I think learning more of like guidelines, in fact, of how to reshare those data is something that I would want to learn more. Yeah.
Thanks. Are there any other questions from audience in the room or on Zoom? Okay, I see the questions on Zoom. Okay.
Over there.
All right.
The iPad over there, yeah. But I don't think we have any questions coming from the Zoom yet. Any other questions from the audience?
No?
Well,
yeah, please. I mean.
Oh yeah, I have my mic here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, our esteemed faculty panelists. And I think we really touch upon a wide range of different issues here, from data curation, sharing sensitive data, personal data, protection, and data curation policies or storage, and all that. And it has been very practical and helpful to hear. And any last questions before we move on? I actually learned something from Professor Hui. When in doubt, talk to your PI for students, and also talk to your librarian. And when in doubt for staff member, talk to your associate dean of research, and also talk to your friendly librarian here at the library. We're here to help you with any research data related questions, initiatives. And actually, our wonderful data champions will be embarking on this journey to promote RDM alongside with us. And I think our faculty members have given us excellent ideas and given us guidelines too in terms of data sharing and data curation and storing, and also good data ethics. I think that's one thing that we touched upon today as well. All right. If not, thank you so much, very much for all the excellent input and contributions. I was really impressed. And thank you so much, Professor Hui, for moderating the panel. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the professors, for your inputs. Thanks so much for everyone for the returning data champions, and also our event was further enriched by the engaging faculty panelists. Thanks you again for your participation and wonderful input to the research data management inputs. So I think we celebrated yet another milestone in the CHK Library's mission to promote data management excellence with the successful inauguration of the second cohort of data champions today. And we kickstart the Data Champions 2025 program. So we'll be meeting bi-monthly moving forward and discussing issues and strategies on how to promote RDM issues here at CHK campus. And together, the newly appointed data champions, including our returning data champions and our faculty leaders, have inspired a renewed commitment to building a data-savvy community here at CHK, setting the stage for impactful research and innovation. So we look forward to witnessing the meaningful contributions this Data Champions program will continue to bring. So thank you so much again, everyone who joined us today, both online and in person here, to celebrate the inauguration of the Data Champions 2025 and engage in meaningful discussions about research data management. And your presence and participation have made this event truly special. And we hope to see you at our last event of the Data Excellence Week 2025, which is scheduled tomorrow, Friday. Data Analytics Practice Opportunity 2024-2025, which is where we'll showcase students data analytics and visualization projects, reusing our data resources in the library and the university collections. And thank you so much again. We still have refreshments in the back. Please feel free to mingle and network over food before you leave. And we hope we can see you around. And thank you very much for coming. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Thank you.